You are watching Exertas.
Sorry.
The war on drugs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Personal freedom is what
Like,
that is.
Everything.
I think if you can't
It's
drive on drugs, you
misguided.
shouldn't fight a
Anything
war on
misguided
drugs.
without
Well,
without what
shouldn't-
Andrea said, having benchmarks. Any attempt to improve things for the future requires you to ask how it's doing. You have to review. And if you're not reviewing and improving, you're certainly not conducting an
if
experiment.
you
You're
completely make everything Schedule 1, you cannot
Yeah, so
do anything with any. of
That's
the
crazy.
potential therapeutic.
So when we have
100%
adjustments are required and tweaking is required to any plan, especially the more complex it becomes. So when things fail, they fail for particular reasons, and it's often due to a particular oversight. And
total oversight. Like,
I mean, I said that so lightly, but yeah, I agree with you, of course. So what was the oversight is all I meant. And then in which case, why does the war on drugs, why is it so misguided? And then in which case, what we're discussing now is what benefits are there and what can be overlooked if your mindset is it's only one direction, being negative. Uh-oh.
Is that positive? Is that positive and negative governance? Because the idea that drugs are, I mean, the idea that anything is evil in nature inherently is wrong. It's what we do with things. So the idea that there are just
the science behind, first of all, marijuana, or like many of the things, was always there, and it just took I don't know how many years to be like, wait, I'm sorry, we have like receptors for these things, and wow, they really help and do a lot of things, but it was Schedule 1, so nope, shut down and criminalized. So then it's I can't even get into it. It's like a whole thing.
Who fought against research regarding benefits of drugs for so long? My only question is, for what reason was that occurring?
So,
there were also people working on it, and they just didn't want the public
to be.
Don't think I'm the one saying so either.
I'm not even kidding. It was crack, and then it was.
Oh, well, that's the problem. Well, let's talk about the problems with Joe Biden. I'm sorry, but the first time I ever heard of Joe Biden was when he was leading the freaking Rave Act, and he said he wanted to arrest my friends. So he said, arrest the promoter. He was as clear as day. And I was like, who is this Footloose guy? I was so like, that's freaking terrible. He's like, we know where these parties are happening. They're happening in warehouses and they're happening
right
in the desert.
before my birthday.
When he said the desert, I was like, Burning Man? You want to arrest the promoters of Burning Man because people do drugs at one of the most freaking like healing, transformative, freaking like, come on, man. It's just the most anti-Woodstock thing I can think of.
Hey, David, do you know Timothy Walton? Have you ever been to Unscrews?
Yes.
Does that ring a? Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
The name rings a bell. I've been to multiple. I put on some of the booths.
I just wanted to say
this is it.
I think
that also cannabis is an issue that goes back even further than Joe Biden. It goes back to the 20s because you have the marijuana hemp tax act,
and they were like, you can't.
So it's pharmaceutical companies that used to be opium traders over the China Seas, right? These slave trader families that became opium families, but also the Mellon, Anslinger, DuPont nylon schema, because they created these new products that were to replace hemp. So they had to make these things illegal, and William Randolph Hearst had control over the old growth redwood trees, and he could use that to make paper. And if you had hemp, then you could make your own newspapers, which meant you could control public opinion. So you actually, the destruction of hemp was actually censorship in a lot of ways of public opinion.
Totally.
Fun times. What about do you guys want to do inflation? Do you want to do Hunter Biden?
I'm just telling you, like, how did we end up with Hunter Biden?
Why you have your list, my friend? You go through like all your hate list.
Can I also I don't have hate in my heart.
Still wanted to hear what
or your hit list.
Excuse
me, your hit list.
Everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. I want Winslow to talk. Winslow had a compelling thing there.
I've been waiting.
You said, David, earlier you wanted someone to tell you something good about Kamala, and I'll give you that.
Thank you.
So she sets precedent for all women. So I guess at some point in the future, you could say we have a completely fair world where anyone can do anything, whether you're a woman, man, whatever you want to be.
Well, that's true anyway, but I'm hearing the argument that because she's a woman, I've heard that one. I need better than
inspiring.
I don't think that she's using that either.
That's not what anyone is saying.
No, I'm talking about specifics. I want to hear policy proposals or something that she's already done. Like, is what I don't. I'm not.
I'm sure a lot of people vote based just on that too.
Because if we're gonna talk like Bernie or Kennedy, like sheepdog Bernie, he called himself sheepdog. I didn't know what a political sheepdog was. I had to look it up. It's somebody that gets a party motivated, knowing that they're going to drop out and leave people with the lesser of two evils. And I didn't know what a Pied Piper candidate was until I saw the email from friggin' John Podesta to the DNC outlining their strategy for the 2016 election, where they referred to Trump as a Pied Piper candidate that they would direct the media to substantiate as a viable candidate, so that they could use him to keep pointing at him and say, look how awful he is, to make themselves look better. So that was a gamble that they made. I don't think Trump thought he was going to win that first time. I'm pretty sure that Trump thought he was going to have some kind of radio show like Sirius XM or something, where he talks shit all through Hillary's
even in his rally tonight.
Presidency.
That would have been a great way to make money.
Day, he's so bummed out. He's like, it actually happened, and so now I think he really does want to be president. And I think
why would he want to be president again? That is my main.
This is my assessment. You can think what you.
I'm with you, Alyssa.
Dave, did you hear that story about when Obama was like, I think addressing? He was having one of those fancy dinners where like celebrities pay like thousands of dollars for a ticket at, and Donald Trump was there, and he was making jokes. He was like, "Yeah, Donald Trump said this, but he'll never be president, though." And I bet Donald Trump was in that room saying, "Oh yeah, all right, we'll see."
Yeah, we have a friend who did a whole like series on that called Hindsight 2020, and the focus of it is that dinner, as like you can see the entire future here, and where he goes with it, because it's about the birth certificate thing. So he there it is. Yeah. So he's like, not only do I have my birth certificate, Obama says I have video of my birth, and he shows the footage of the Lion King and the lion, where he holds up the freaking Lion King, and then right after that, it was Osama bin Laden got killed, and like it was a crazy weekend. All the stuff that happened.
Yeah,
right?
remember when Osama bin Laden got killed? They kept saying Obama's been killed because they couldn't say his name right on TV. Right. I mean, hey guys, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Do you mind to have just 20 seconds to ask so we can all participate, and also to answer your question, David? Which subject for you, David, is most important that you would like to hear both policies regarding? And I'm going to give you 4 to choose from. Then in which case you're the one promoting our direction, and we can all participate.
If you have another one of your own, that's also cool.
No, it's also back to that article, which is from BBC, why I care about outside sources looking at U.S. politics, and why it's so interesting to me to be oriented in that direction is that I don't feel as though I have anyone I'm indebted to in the United States, other than the well-being for as many people as possible. I know it's very John Stuart Mill, but so let's just and if I ask myself, maybe there's one person who's more special than others. I don't necessarily go down that route easily. So we would have to talk about it. But I wanted to ask you, David, inflation, and it's also a quick thing. But you have to choose inflation, taxes, abortion, or immigration.
Please pick inflation. Let's talk about inflation.
You have a vote in your favor.
Taxes?
Inflation.
Did you say
like
I can we? You want to?
Inflation and taxes are the same thing.
Come on, just a little inflation.
I want to talk about abortion because I'll tell you something.
We're gonna do all 4. I was planning to do all 4.
Because as a man, but we do have a woman present, and so we have representation.
We have 2.
And I would like.
It's 2. Too. I'm at my neighbor best friend.
What do you say, Chris? Okay. Abortion or inflation first?
I have real questions here. So I would like
abortion. All right.
Actually, you know what? Let's save inflation. Let's do abortion first because inflation is really big for me. I want to talk about why our money sucks now. And
we'll go back. We'll circle back. Let's let David do his thing. David, ask some questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is something that I've seen that I see as problematic. I see bills that are being presented that are on the table that basically where you're looking at abortion rights, and I'm 100% for abortion rights. I happen to agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg when she had her concerns about Roe versus Wade, in part because Roe versus Wade was all about medical privacy, and what I'm seeing a lot of, like especially like looking at vaccine mandates and all this stuff, I'm seeing a lack of that as a value of medical privacy. I can tell you from personal experience, hospital stuff, I have my concerns there, but that's not really the question I really want to go to. I want to ask about the fact that when you look at this bill, it's got a it's compounding two things into itself. So you also have trans stuff trans rights issues as it relates to children and puberty blockers and surgeries and I'm at the same place as Kennedy with that. Like my feeling is that adults can do all kinds of things that they want to do with themselves, and like I don't feel like the caring about children and protecting children is like just a right-wing talking point. Like, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. It's a big deal. You're right. It's
so yeah. Can I read that little quick thing?
Wait. There was a question for Alyssa there. Was that?
Yeah, well, I want to know as it relates to when people are talking about their concerns about Donald Trump and abortion and leaving it to the states and all this stuff. Like Roe versus Wade was vulnerable to begin with, and from what I could get, this was my experience and my issue when Obama was running. He kept saying that he was going to codify Roe versus Wade as one of his first orders of action. We Democrats had the majority in the House. Like I've always in the past rooted for the Democrats, but I'm seeing some serious problems with censorship and a lot of core issues that were the values.
But what's the question about Roe versus
the Democratic Party, including criticism of big pharma and that rotating door with the regulators of corporations and the corporations themselves that they're supposed to regulate. Like it's so apparent.
But what's the question? Is there a question there about like?
Is there a bright side to how Kamala can give the thing that she's promising if that's the way that it's presented?
What do you say, Alyssa?
I think
I don't even know what you have. What you can.
It's created a whole.
Yeah, it was
a can of worms. Yeah, straight up.
If you leave it,
I wanted it to be very specific.
Wait, let her go.
Now you have people from one state trying to go to another. You can't expect someone that needs something to like go to another state, and you can't expect to prosecute doctors or pharmacists or anyone to do something that's actually in the benefit of the patient. There's so many stories.
Right, these are all bad things.
Certain states now where if you don't have a parental consent, unless you're up to 18, like they can't do anything. There's no medical care that can be given, or that they'll just hold off. They will not give medical care. There's like 8 states. I can't remember which one. But
why is abortion connected to the question of what a woman is? Why?
I don't even understand what we're discussing. What is the issue?
My issue is that if you present a bill to have new policy, if you're including policies from a whole other matter that people can have different views of, what does it mean to be a liberal? What does it mean to be a Democrat? Because my understanding is that we had an acknowledgement of like nuance, and we're able to like not like that. To me, that doesn't feel like real democracy. It doesn't.
So that's the sad thing is that it would be cool if people could have. Alyssa brought up the point just now that if you were super wealthy and you could just go wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted something, you had cafeteria rights and privileges, right? I could fly to the state that lets me do this, and I could fly to the state.
You could do maybe to like live.
I have to be really rich though. If I was a diabetic, if I was a diabetic in Minneapolis, I can't go to another town if I can't get my drugs. So this idea that we don't have harmonized rights.
Good point.
Is then in the same states, they don't really like Medicaid. The Medicaid,
it's unrealistic to demand that of people.
Have the resources. So then if everybody has to have, there's no options. There's also no support. Who's paying for all?